Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Feel Positive podcast. I'm Handy, your host, and today, as you can hear, there is no intro. So, for those who usually listen to my podcast, you can hear that this episode is in English. And I just thought that there's no point to add a French intro if this episode is in English. Anyway, today I have a special guest on the podcast. My partner, my boyfriend, and this is the reason why this episode is in English because my boyfriend doesn't speak French. Okay, so for those who listen to my podcast, you know that I often tell you about my boyfriend and the discussion we have because our discussions inspires a lot of my episodes. So today you're going to get a glimpse of our conversations. We're going to talk about our routines, the importance of connecting to the present moment, but also our relationships. So if you don't speak English, you can watch the video with French subtitles on Spotify or also on YouTube. Okay, guys, I hope you're going to enjoy it. Let's start the episode. Hey, babe, how are you?
Yeah, really good, thanks. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you so much, baby, for joining this episode today. I really appreciate you for that. Um, just an information here. I'm going to call you J, so the first letter of your name, because I don't want to disclose your name. Okay,
Yep.
sounds good for you.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so as I said, I'm just so happy that you joined this episode today of the podcast for the first time because I just wanted to have, a conversations with you because during my episode of podcast, I talked a lot about you, and I always said to my audience that some of my episode has been inspired from our conversations.
Mm.
So I thought it would be a good idea if we could just, have an episode together and people they can have a glimpse of what we talk about, a glimpse of our relationship, a glimpse of our routines and our well-being. So yeah, there's not like a specific agenda for this episode, but yeah, I just thought like it could be a great idea. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's good. Each relationship's drastically different, and no one really gets to see what happens behind closed doors with certain relationships. So yeah, I'm open to talking about what we get up to and sort of what we do really on a daily basis and what we talk about.
Yeah, speaking of about the things we do on a daily basis. So, what are we into at the moment? Like, what is your routine, wellness routine?
Well, recently I've just started to do cold showers in the morning, and you've heard me, haven't
Hmm.
you?
Yeah. I still don't know how you can do that because it's just, oh my God. I don't know. I know it's great for the body,
Mm.
but in the morning, I know that for me, I need something very warm.
Hmm.
But I know that for you, you start like the morning in a good way. You feel so refreshed after that.
Mm.
Um, so can you say like tell me a little bit more about this cold shower things like because maybe some people don't know what are the benefits of a cold shower. So can you talk a little bit about this?
Yeah, so I think it's just general well-being, general sense of feeling good afterwards, and also there's definitely a sense of accomplishment afterwards because you have to prepare yourself mentally,
Mm,
especially first thing in the morning. I mean, I didn't start by doing it. Some people will start by getting in the shower cold straight away,
mm.
and that's hardcore. That's people just doing it straight away. But I started doing it where I just have a normal shower, do a normal wash, all that type of stuff, and then just take a few big breaths in, and then the trick is you breathe in, but then you breathe out for longer than you breathe in, and then you just focus. Turn the cold shower on. You can start with 15 seconds. That's what I started with, or 15 breaths. And you might feel, I started to feel quite lightheaded when I
Mm.
was doing it, like whoa, whoa, and then maybe you build it up after a couple of days, 20 seconds, 25 seconds, and then the other morning I tried a full-on cold shower from
Mm.
the start. That was difficult, um, but the benefits afterwards were just like, I did a cold shower today, one of the longest cold showers I've done, and normally it gets to about 12 or 1 o'clock, and I'm absolutely starving. I don't know if this has any correlation, but I'm absolutely starving, and I'm quite tired normally, but I wasn't today. And it was a proper 2 minute, 2.5 minute maybe, full get your neck in, get your chest in, get your hands in, and if you're brave enough, all over your head. And I did my face this morning. It's actually quite painful if you do your face, but and I just felt like $1,000,000 afterwards. Felt refreshed, felt reinvigorated, and for me, it sort of just started to carry me through the day. And there's that saying, isn't there, that if you start off the day with the hardest thing, then everything else is easier from there.
Yeah, well, that's a true thing. And I think, like, the cold shower things is starting to be a real thing, because there are some businesses now out there that they actually doing cold shower. I think it's called like
Cryotherapy, yeah.
Cryotherapy, something like that. Yesterday when I went in London, I saw that and I was like, oh, babe's doing this at home, but in the shower. But I think it's a little bit different. It's probably colder. It's like the ice cube things.
I mean, well, that's two different things. So I think the cryotherapy is where it goes down to like -50, and it's like nitrogen gas is used, and I don't know, a cryo chamber. But then you have like an ice bath. I was actually looking it up today of cold. It's called cold immersion therapy, and there's actually a place over in Surrey, about half an hour drive away, that trains the Wim Hof method. So you do the fundamentals first, and you do an hour, teaches you the theory behind it and all of the breath work, because it's not just cold water therapy, it's the breath work, it's the mindset. So you do the fundamentals, and then it says an optional ice bath at the end if you're brave enough, and then you can come back and then do, I think that the fundamentals is 4 hours, and you can come back and do 2-hour sessions here and there. But yeah, that cryotherapy stuff sounds cool. I mean, going back to what you said, I think you could do it. I mean, what's stopping you from doing it? I know you're warm and you're like, but what would you do if the benefits were amazing? What's stopping you?
I feel like I would like to try it, but I know I know who I am, and I feel like at the beginning, at first, it will be very hard for me. Just like 30 seconds, I'm struggling. So I don't know. I really need to feel like that. Yeah, I don't know.
So there you go. You can't come up with a valid excuse.
Yeah, the only excuse for me is that I just love warm showers. That's all.
Yeah.
And yeah, just like dealing with the cold is not my type of thing.
Yeah.
But maybe I'll get there at some point.
I know that you could do it easily, and you could do it if you wanted to. It's just setting. It's a real mindset thing. That's probably the hardest thing. Is just the last thing you want to do is wake up. So
because I just focus on the cold. That's why I just focus on the fact that this is cold. But as you said, everything is about mindset at the end of the day, and I feel like when you have like the good mindset, you can just like overcome everything anyway.
So what about your that's how I start my day. That's how I've been starting my day recently. What do you do? What's your routine in the mornings, or is there a specific thing that you do?
Yeah, like in the morning, because obviously I'm working from home, you're working early, and we're not seeing each other in the morning. But in the morning, I always do like my gratitude list in my gratitude journal. Just writing down 5 things I'm grateful today, and then I like to do my EFT tapping. So EFT tapping, for those who don't know, this is emotional freedom technique. This helps you to basically focus on an emotion, a specific emotion to release. And basically, they use the same acupuncture points in your face and body to release that emotion. So I like to do that when I need this. Not every day. Is really when I think that there is an emotions I need to release. And I like to do my daily oracle cards or tarot cards as well.
Okay, I didn't know
Like,
you were doing that actually.
yeah, I'm still doing it. Sometimes I don't, but yeah, I just like to just like, draw a card for myself and just ask myself, okay, what I need to know today,
Hmm.
these type of things. But my spiritual routine. But yeah, this is like three of the things that I like to do in the morning. Nothing special, but these are things that makes me feel happy and good with myself.
Yeah.
And something I love to teach to my clients or women in my audience is that you just need to find two or three things that you love
Hmm.
and include them in your routine.
Mm.
This is enough, and this is the first step to your well being and for you to feel great. Because when you think about like our mental load, we have so much to deal with every day. But if you're not doing anything for yourself,
Hmm.
obviously at the end of the week you will feel like, well, lost and just so tired and as if you haven't done anything for you. So yeah, I think it's just so important.
Yeah, I agree, and I think just keeping it simple,
Mm.
keeping it very simple, and those things for yourself could be, I don't know, when you're walking. I mean, when I walk, I like to just look and actually try and see what I can see, rather than looking at my phone or listening to a podcast, which is always good. But if I actually look and actively look and see and focus on what I can hear, like yesterday, no, it was last weekend. The sun was shining, so I was like, oh, I want to go outside and just get my face in the sun. And then I sat there for a bit and listening to the birds. And I don't know, this little robin or something just came
Mm.
popping over, and
Oh.
then was just like, I sat there and watched him, and he was singing, and he probably sang for 2 minutes. It's been tweet 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 tweet, and then I looked away, and then I turned back round, and then he was gone. So I think it's definitely finding the the simple things in life, and most things are free. Most of the simple things and the good things are free. So whether that's being more aware, or getting out some sunshine, or I don't know, listening to your favorite podcast, or
Mm.
taking a walk or whatever. Sometimes you don't feel like doing it at the time, but I'm always glad I do. I'm always glad that I've done these things afterwards.
Yeah, yeah, and as you said, it's all about like finding happiness in simple thing. Because when you become more present and aware,
Mm.
you actually notice some stuff that you haven't noticed in the past. For example, if you go for a walk and usually you listen to music or you listen to a podcast, and now you just try to get to be present and listen to the birds, listen to the wind, touching the trees, all those type of things.
Hmm.
You actually notice things around that before you haven't noticed.
Mm.
And I think it's just incredible. It's like when you watched a movie the first time, you don't notice anything. And then when you watch a second time, you just like notice everything in the background, the little details, all those
Mm.
type of things because you're more focused and more present.
Yeah,
So I think it's kind of similar. You know what I mean?
definitely. Yeah, you sort of penetrate through all of that mind chatter. Yeah, I mean last year I was doing like a meditation thing. I'd start the day, and it probably sounds a little bit morbid, but I would start the day and think about death, thinking about the possibility of me not being here, and the possibility of, and not in a bad way, but it puts everything into perspective. All those problems that you think, oh, I've got this meeting here, I must do this, or I must get a bench press that's 120 kgs by this, or I must get this type of time when I'm running, or I need to write this document. And then you just go, you contemplate. The Stoics call it contemplations. Can't remember what the right terminology is, and it might not be right for a lot of people, but for me, it just puts everything in perspective, and I just go, oh, all right, cool, let's go.
Mm. Yeah, and something I actually really enjoyed um with you last year, but I think even the year before,
Mm.
because you started to be interested about the stoicism,
Stoicism, yeah.
about the
Stoics.
stoicism, yeah. And that's why I've done a podcast episode about this, and people loved it actually, and I felt like it was just so um so accurate,
Mm.
and the principle of the stoicism, these are simple principle, but we actually forgot them. It's so easy to forget them, but you know, you can't control everything. Just focus on what you can control.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I think that every time I think about it, I'm like, it's always, as you said, helps me to put things into perspective.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, and it's that perspective. I mean, the Stoics talk about us coming from the whole. You know, we're all part of the whole, holistically, or part of nature, or part of the universe, and everyone is from that same place. And that has helped me have compassion with people,
Mm.
a lot more compassion. The Stoics talk about um, expectation. So if you might be at work and there's a colleague that might rub you up the wrong way, or maybe you don't get on with them, or your bus is late, or things that happen regularly that tend to tick you off. And the Stoics talk about just expecting these
Mm.
and just realizing that you can't control that.
Yeah.
And when someone else does something that you don't disagree with, just realize that they're just trying to get around in life the same as you. They know not what they do, basically. And having a lot more compassion for people. And I've started to, I walked to the shop on Co-op. I went to Co-op last weekend, and I think even just having a simple smile at people. There was this guy who was a delivery driver. It's like 9:30 in the morning, and he was like on his bike, and he was really trying to pedal. And I
Mm.
gave him a smile, and I gave him a thumbs up, and he beamed. He was literally like,
Oh,
"Hey!"
I like that.
Or sometimes it can be met with weirdo.
Yeah, for sure.
um,
But I think
but
like
that made me
people,
feel good as well.
yeah, and people appreciate that too, you know. And I mean, well, I always say to people that I've always had like this experience in England where people like smile at you, they say hello to you like in
Even in
the
London.
street. Yeah, exactly. Well, I've been like in London for 5 years, so yeah, even in London, it came from London at the beginning,
Mm.
and I've always had that good experience because in France, yeah, people think that you're why are you talking to me, you know, in the street. If you you talk to them, well, here like people are not shy. You in the park, you just like maybe sit on the bench, someone can talk to you or
Mm.
things like that, you know. You just like appreciate having a conversations and just like smiling. Like, I've always had that good experience, and I think it's just that so I don't know, like the energy, someone like on Instagram talked to me about that. Like the energy of the country is also very different here,
Mm-hmm.
and that's something that I love so much because when someone just like smile at you like on the street, you know, maybe like you start your day like in a bad way, but if someone smile at you, it makes all difference.
Can change your whole day.
Yeah.
Really, it can.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I've experienced that too. Where I think I've been driving, or maybe I was listening to some music in the car and just like nodding my head and just lost myself, and then sort of look over and then someone's smiling, And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I've got an audience. But I think going back to what you said about it being in London and people like smiling at you, but you have that type of energy. You give off that type of energy,
Mm-hmm.
and that's a
Aura.
breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
That person that saw you might have been having a bad day, and they think, oh, this person looks happy.
Mm.
It's like you see that advert on I don't know what it is advertising, but there was this guy on a train, and he was laughing at a video on his phone,
Yeah, I
and then
saw that one.
everyone starts to
Mm,
laugh. Everyone's like,
that's a good
starting.
one.
It's
I
infectious.
love this, yeah, advert. I think it's a good representation, actually,
Mm,
you know, of the energy of a the energy of the person and what
Mm.
she can just reflect, you know. So yeah, I think it's really interesting. At the moment as well, I know that we are into Eckhart Tolle,
Yeah.
where
Well, you're seeing him everywhere. And Andrea thinks our landlord looks like Eckhart Tolle. If anybody who doesn't know who he is, look him up. Um,
yeah, oh my god, I swear, I feel like
he doesn't look like him, by the way, but
yeah, he's small. He has like gray hair. I don't know. yeah,
a
but
nice face. Yeah.
yeah, he's cute. I think it's because like yes, we are into like a Eckhart Tolle mood.
Mm.
Um, you more than me, but um, I learn a lot from you with Eckhart Tolle. Like, what is the book that you're reading again?
Um, well,
The,
it's the power of now.
no, not this one. The other one, like the orange one.
Stillness speaks.
Ah, mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're reading that one. Oh, I think you're done.
Well, it's just on my bedside table. I just go
Yeah.
back to it, and it's not like a book that can be read from start to finish. You can just open up a page, and it's got different chapters on nature, acceptance and surrender, relationships, and then nice little sections and paragraphs about these types of areas.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, my favourite one is the one on acceptance and surrender, because that's what I have the most the problems with.
You struggle with.
Yeah,
Just
just
like in this a chapter on the book.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
and he's got like little, not proverbs, but sentences, and then you can read a couple, and then you ponder, and you think, wow, that's really powerful.
And you've been watching as well, like a lot of videos of him
Mm.
talk. I know that we watched a talk with Oprah Winfrey last time. We still waiting the part
Waiting for
two,
the
by the
second one,
way.
yeah.
but this was this book club. I think it was a partnership with Starbucks, but it was amazing. I feel like the big part for me, like the big takeaway, was when they were talking about the ego,
Mm.
and you explained it so well to me as well, because I think like most people think about the ego just like the surface level, like people that are egocentric,
Mm-hmm.
that are arrogant, those type of things, but there are so much deeper side of the ego that we don't know. The fact that the ego is going to feed from your emotions, ego is going to feed from your pain,
Mm-hmm.
all those type of things. And I feel like Eckhart Tolle, he explained this very well in his book.
Mm.
um did he talk about it in your book, like the stillness of something?
I
Because
think he doesn't go into specifics about it. I think if anybody hasn't heard of Eckhart Tolle, they should start with The Power of Now.
yeah, I'm reading it, by the way.
Yeah, which is first. It was his first book, and it's been translated into 50, 60 languages, bestseller, and it's truly, truly profound for anybody that really wants to, I guess, change their life. But you don't really have to do anything.
Mm.
You just have to read it. I mean, I picked it up the first time and read a bit and was like, oh, I can't really remember what I thought of it, and put it down. And then I was going through a particularly tough time, and I thought, okay, I remember that book. And then I downloaded. Do you remember that when I was listening to the audiobook,
Mm-hmm.
and I was having quite emotional reactions listening to it,
Mm-hmm. I
and
remember that one.
positive realizations. And I think that time it was very impactful, and it's something that I always try and go back to and just remember. Definitely helped.
Yeah, it did. And I feel like at the moment, the fact that we both like into a spiritual routine,
Mm.
we love talking about mindfulness, mindset, all this type of things, it helps us to bond even more
Yeah.
in our relationship, and to have like even deeper conversations between each other. And it has been so special as well. I know that one of my favorite moments with you is always when we just like after dinner and just like, lay down on the couch and talking about these things.
Yeah.
And it's just coming from nowhere. It's just like coming up and into a conversation. And I think I just felt like those moments so special. I don't know why, but it just makes me feel so much closer to you.
Mm.
We were already close, but I feel like those conversations, I just love it.
Yeah, me
And
too. Yeah, it's yeah, to feel close and be attracted to somebody is one thing, but like I feel like spiritually close to you. I
mm,
feel like we're both on our own, definitely our own separate journeys. We're actually two very different people.
mm. We are
Really, we're
like
so different. We're so different personality wise in the way that we are. Um, you
we
know,
have we have differences, but we also look alike on different things as well.
yeah. Would you say so?
Yeah, we have the same values, we have the same visions,
Mm.
we have the same type of humor.
Mm.
I will say we love both things, such as like okay, going to the gym, being active,
Mm.
our center of interest are kind of alike, but in terms of personality, we will be different.
Yeah, and in terms of in terms of the types of music that we listen to
Oh
and
yeah.
the type of films that we watch and the passions that we have around that and music and all that type of stuff. We if we're going to go and watch a movie,
We
it
can't watch a
takes us
movie.
forever to try and
At the end, we don't
find
watch a
one.
movie.
What was that
Because
app that we downloaded? That handshake app, wasn't it, to
yeah,
try and
yeah.
find movies?
So basically, just for people to know, like the handshake app is a app that my little sister told me to download. Is basically a kind of a Tinder app, but for um just like for watching a movie.
For
So
movies and restaurants as well.
no,
Yeah,
there's no.
there
Is
is.
there?
Yeah, there's restaurants on there.
I didn't even see that.
Yeah.
Okay. So restaurants and movies. So basically you will both have like an account. One of the persons going to select a party where you're going to select the genres of the movies that you want to basically watch, but also like the year, etc. And then the other person's going to join this party and you're just going to swipe what movie
Mm.
you like,
Yeah.
and when you have a match on one movie, it means that this is a movie that you can watch. But we've never watched like a common movie on that app. We
No.
find some, but some we needed to pay on Amazon Prime, and we're like, no. Well,
YouTube it is then.
exactly. But yeah,
But no, lately we have been watching some documentaries on YouTube about plant medicine
mm,
and different ceremonies and
mindfulness.
different types of shamanic practices that take place in the Amazon,
Yeah,
mindfulness,
yeah, and
this type of
actually,
stuff.
this is it's actually better. I'd rather do that actually
Yeah.
than just spend like an hour to find a movie. So
Yeah, well, I mean, I can watch a movie and then just not watch the end of it. But when when we watch a movie, you have to watch the whole thing, even if it's 1 o'clock
yeah,
in the morning.
yeah. And when we watch a movie, so never watch a movie with Jay because basically he's going to sleep like maybe 10 minutes after the movie started, or maybe 15 minutes, and I'll be, oh my god, look at this, and I can just see him. He has like his eyes closed, and I'm like, okay, I'm watching by myself because you're just sleeping. That's funny. But yeah, I feel like, yeah, the reason why it match between each other is because we have our differences. I think like in a relationship it's always best to have like a good balance between the differences and our personalities, the fact that we look alike. And I think that we're not perfect at all. Obviously no one is perfect, and
No.
our relationship is not perfect. We have like ups and downs, lots of ups and downs as everyone, but we always try to make it work
Mm.
and to respect the other one's space, to ensure that our mental health is also great.
Yeah, or even if it's not great, it's okay. I think you've pointed out a good thing there about space, and that's one thing that we're both very good at is I don't need you, you don't need me in a
Mm.
relationship. We don't need each other. We complement each other, and in terms of space, you have your own things. You go to your own. You've got your own passions, and you go to your and do your own things, and I go and do my own things.
Mm.
I think that's definitely one of the reasons why it works. You know, I like to go out for walks on my own
Mm.
and do things like that.
And
And
I'll be okay, babe. That's
yeah,
fine.
and you just do your own.
Enjoy yourself.
Yeah, exactly. And you do your own thing. There's not a neediness there, but there is also an understanding that you know we're there for each other.
Yeah, we're there for each other. Like we've always been able to respect each other as well, which is really important in a relationship. But I feel like when we had some downs, like personally, just
Mm.
like as a person, but also in the relationship, like we always been there. Like I was there to just like support you emotionally. You were there to support me emotionally, but
Physically.
physically as well. But also, I think here is something that I have learned is that, when we had some downs and our mental health has been impacted, I learned to take a step back when we needed it.
Mm.
So, for example, about your anxiety, I didn't know how to deal with anxiety, but what I've learned is that what I was saying to you didn't really help.
Yeah.
And there is nothing that I could do to help you on that because only yourself could find your own solutions and what can help you. So, what I've learned here is like, well, I just need to step back, and if you need my help, you will come to me. But the only thing I could do is just like be present,
Mm.
like as a person, but saying, "Oh, it's going to be fine. Maybe you can try to doing this." Giving you advices didn't work at all. So I learned to step back during those type of cases.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's you're only no one's going to come and save you in those instances. And when everyone struggles with mental health to some degree, but one thing that I learned was that no one's going to come and save me. I need to try and pull myself out of whatever it is that I'm in
Mm.
and control the controllables.
Mm.
Okay, so what's going on? What am I not doing? Am I not working out? I was talking to my brother, and this is an absolute must, and everyone's got a must in their life, whether that's they have to see family or they have to eat well, or they have to get this, they have to do this and achieve this. But one of my musts, otherwise I don't feel like me, is exercise.
Mm.
And whether it's getting out for a walk or whether it's you know really going for a run. I mean, when I was like 20, in my 20s, I would correlate exercise and really pushing myself, but it would be pushing myself and having negative self-talk when I'm doing it, like, oh, you're weak, oh, don't stop now, you're so weak, yada yada yada. And that was like so toxic for me when
Mm.
I was exercising. But now it's all changed, and now it's like when I am doing that, well, I don't push myself any. I'm like nearly 34, 35, so I'm not, I'm not killing myself anymore. But I think when I do push myself, I'm like, come on, let's go. You can do this. You've got this. So even I think just having positive self-talk
Mm.
and
So
controlling the
important.
controllables and supporting yourself mentally, if you haven't got anyone else to do it, that helps.
Yeah, always being kind with yourself because I feel like we all doing this, we talk to our friends, our family in a good way, like being very supportive, like
Mm.
giving pep talk, but we don't do it for ourselves,
Yeah.
like if you talk like this to your sister, brothers, your friends, do the same for yourself. Like you deserve to actually, cheer you up and just like being your own cheerleaders and t- telling yourself, well, I can do this. Like, yes, I will succeed. All this type of things. You saying this to your friends. So why are you not saying this to you?
Mm.
Don't you think you deserve it? And I always say to my audience, like, just be kind to yourself, because if you're not kind with yourself, who is going to tell you all these things? Because you can't count on people to say this to you, because some people will probably not give back, you know.
Yeah, I mean, Eckhart Tolle talks about this. Is you attract what you are,
Mm-hmm.
and if you're not kind to yourself or you neglect yourself, then you sort of attract that, and you give people not the right to do that, but it makes people feel like, oh well, they don't give a shit, then they're just an easy target,
Mm-hmm.
and you attract that type of behavior.
Yeah.
Whereas if you have self-respect and you treat others with self-respect, then setting those boundaries, and you attract
Mm.
basically.
Exactly. Likes attract likes.
Mm.
Likes. And yeah. Just to conclude, babe, I'm aware of the time, and I already appreciate um, you being here and taking the time for me in the podcast. Um, is there anything you would like to say or recommend for people, for my audience, well, which is in the majority like a feminine audience,
Mm.
but for someone who's struggling with having a good mindset, for example,
Yeah.
and
Struggling with having a good mindset, you
yeah,
saying?
hmm
Mm.
what would you recommend?
Um, I would say start with the very, very basics. Recognize where your mind's at. If you're thinking about the past or thinking about the future, just recognize that, and that's okay. And control what you can control. So, are you eating the right foods? Are you consuming too much social media? That
Mm,
will be having undoubtedly a massive impact. Are you getting out in nature? Are you noticing nature? Are you having conversations and surrounding yourself with people that enrich your life and lift you up? Because there's nothing wrong in cutting off those relationships
mm,
if they don't. And also just remember um, that what goes down must come up equally. They're both part of the same. You can't have one without the other. So
yeah.
if you are down, one thing that helps me, and it took me a long time to realize this, is that to have perspective and realize that if you are down, then the good times are only on their way,
Mm.
and having that perspective definitely helps.
I love that, babe, because these are exactly the same advices that I'm giving to my
Oh, is it?
yes, in my podcast. Just to remind yourself, like also with people with good mindset, but not putting you down, but not complaining all the time.
Yeah,
There's no shame to just distance yourself from them.
definitely.
Be careful about like what you actually consume
Yeah,
online,
yeah,
because obviously this you can compare to yourself so quickly, and people going to portray this beautiful and perfect life, but no one has a perfect life. As you say, behind a closed door, there's always like more, and people can just show you what they want you to see.
mm,
And yeah, there are so many things that can increase a better mindset. And as you said, the law of polarity is that there is no up without down, there is no dark without light. So always think that if you are, you're not in a good place right now, you will always see the end of the tunnel at some point. Um, so yeah.
amen to that.
Amen to that. I love this. Well, thank you so much, babe.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, it was really nice to have you in the podcast. I really enjoyed that chat.
Me too.
And I hope like it helps people just to grow as well with what they learn during this podcast. I hope you learned a lot as well about everything that we've said. Um, oh, I just have another question. Can you recommend a book for people to read? Like what book you think? I think I know, but what book you will say someone need to read right now?
Yeah, I've already mentioned it.
Yeah.
It's definitely the power of now. If you haven't got it, I think it's on YouTube. You can listen to it for free, or you might be able to download the PDF for free, or go and pick it up in a bookshop or whatever. But definitely, if you're struggling with trying to quieten your mind,
And be more
and you're
present.
struggling to find a comfortable place, because that was my issue for a while, just trying to find a place that was comfortable for me, not physically, but just feeling comfortable, because of all the other mind stuff that was going on. That book, it will have an impact.
Yeah. And another book I will recommend is The Four Agreement from Don Miguel Ruiz, which is
Mm.
one of my favorite books as well. And you're reading it also at the moment. But yeah, this is such a great book because as a stoicism, like in that book, they talk about like some principles, some rules that we all should follow in life. And when you read the book, it just like makes sense. So I'm not saying too much. Just read the book. It's not really expensive either, so you can find it on Amazon. Okay, so thank you, babe.
Thank you.
And I hope you appreciate this. I know that this is for you something new.
Yeah.
You're really getting out of your comfort zone by doing this, but thank you so much. I love you for this. Not just for this, obviously, for everything.
Well, thanks for having me on.
Thank you. And this is a wrap. Okay, guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode today. And if it was your first time with the podcast, feel free to put a rating on Spotify or Apple Podcast. And also put a comment if you're interested in having more episodes in English. Voila, voila. I'll see you soon. And for my French audience, I'll see you next Monday for a new episode. Merci beaucoup. Ciao.